Hello, dear students. So, till now we have discussed different systems of our body like nervous system, circulatory system related to our brain, then neuromuscular system, visual system. Now we have another type of system which is the auditory system of the body that is basically related to our ear. So let's begin with the auditory system and what are the journal parts of the ear which helps in hearing. So we can say the auditory system is a body system which is responsible for the sense of hearing. It is divided into two subsystems: the peripheral auditory system, which includes outer ear, middle ear, and the inner ear. And the other subsystem is the central auditory system, which begins from the cochlear nucleus up to the primary auditory cortex. Now let's begin with the peripheral auditory system. Basically, it includes the outer ear, middle ear, and the inner ear. So we'll discuss one by one. Let's start with the outer ear. Outer ear is the external portion of the ear, therefore it is also termed as external ear. It consists of pinna, auditory canal, and the eardrum. The pinna appear as folds of cartilage. They surround the ear, we can say auditory canal, and function as sound wave reflectors and attenuators when the waves hit them. It also helps the brain to identify the direction from where the sounds are originated. From the pinna, the sound waves enter a tube-like structure that is auditory canal. You can see in the diagram, it is a kind of tube-like structure which is known as auditory canal. This canal serves as a sound amplifier. The sound waves travel through the canal and finally reach the tympanic membrane, which is also known as the eardrum. We can call it as tympanic membrane, or in general it is known as eardrum, which is the canal's end. Basically it is the end of outer ear. So now from here it begins the middle ear. As the sound waves hit the eardrum, the sensory information goes into an air-filled cavity through liver type bones called ossicles. So it is a air-filled cavity which include different bones. And what are these bones are? They are three ossicles, or we can say bones, which include the femur. It is also known as millis. Then we have anvil, which is also known as incus, and then we have stirrup or stapes. So these are the three different bones. These bones convert the sound vibration made when the sound waves hit the eardrum into sound vibrations of higher pressure. These transformed vibrations, which are still in wave form, they enter the oval window. So basically from here it is the beginning of inner ear. Oval window act as a gatekeeper, protecting it from damage by loud sound. Basically it protects the inner ear from damage by any kind of loud sound. Now we'll begin with the inner ear. Beyond the oval window is the inner ear. So in between middle ear and the inner ear we have oval window, basically which is acting as a gatekeeper. This segment of the ear is filled with liquid rather than air. As we have seen, In middle ear it is air filled cavity, but in the inner ear we have liquid rather than the air. That is why there is a need of conversion of low pressure sound vibrations to higher pressure ones in the middle ear. Thus we have converted that low pressure into high pressure. Now the main structure in the inner ear is called the cochlea. It transforms the mechanical sound waves into electrical or neural signals that are used in the brain to predict basically what what has been spoken or what basically sound we are hearing. So this cochlear duct contains the organ of Coti. This organ is comprised of inner hair cells that turn the vibrations into electric neural signals. So here basically the conversion of mechanical into electrical occurs. Each hair innervates many auditory nerve fibers, and these fibers collectively form the auditory nerve. This auditory nerve, which is basically used for hearing, combines with the vestibular nerve, which is for balance, and combining they form the cranial nerve 8, which is vestibulocochlear nerve. So here we end with the inner ear. So we have outer ear, middle ear, and then the inner ear. After that we have the central auditory system. Once the sound waves are turned into neural signals, they travel through cochleovestibular nerve, which is a combination of two nerves. We have seen auditory nerve and vestibular nerve. So it makes cochleovestibular nerve, and after reaching there, it further reaches different anatomical structures where the neural information is further processed. The cochlear nucleus is the first site of neural processing, followed by the superior olivary complex, which are located in the pons, and then processed in the inferior collicus at the midbrain. So we have pons and midbrain. Then the neural information ends up at the relay center of the brain, which is called as the thalamus. The information is then passed to the primary auditory cortex of the brain, which is situated in the temporal lobe. So we know that in brain we have four different lobes: temporal lobe, parietal lobe, frontal lobe, and occipital lobe. So basically this auditory cortex is situated in the temporal lobe. Now this primary auditory cortex, which have this broad main areas which are represented as 4.1 and 4.2 in the temporal lobe along the superior temporal gyrus. The primary auditory cortex receives the auditory information from the thalamus, and the left posterior, the superior temporal gyrus, is responsible for the perception of sound, and in it the primary auditory cortex is the region where the attributes of sound, mainly pitch, rhythm, frequency, etc. are processed. Now let's once go through the complete process of hearing, starting from the external ear ending up to the brain. So we are beginning with pinna, which is the first, we can say, portion of ear. So it is the start, and from that pinna we are moving to external auditory canal, and then finally this external ear will end up to tympanic membrane, and also it is referred to as ear drum. So pinna, then to external auditory canal, and then to finally eardrum or tympanic membrane. After that we have the middle ear, which include three delicate bones: malleus, incus, and stapes, and on combination they are known as ossicles. And then oval window will act as a gatekeeper, and then we have inner ear, which is basically starting from the cochlea, in which we have organ of Coti, and then we have different auditory nerve fibers which collectively form auditory nerves, and then we are ending to the brain part, mainly in the cerebral cortex, in the temporal. Basically, we have temporal lobe. So this was the whole process of hearing. So in next lecture, we will see what are the different sources of potential in the cochlea and various signals associated with this ear or auditory system. And these are some of the references which we have taken for this lecture. So now, thank you so much.